The workers are required to make pieces out of the raw material and mechanics to assemble them. Nature is such mechanic that does the physical assembling in the universe. Through the constitution of the universe, nature makes and assembles things according to the metaphysical orders as a property comes along with the nature. The property are called natural possibility. Natural possibility is the channel through which things evolve. It is like the river that controls the flow of the water to ocean. Since there is no natural mechanic in the nature, besides man to be intelligent, and apart from man, any other intelligent being cannot have physical existence, which is the prerequisite for the operation on physical universe. The question therefore is, who this supposed natural mechanic is? Because we're an intelligent mechanic. We are not making the tree, but we need a mechanic to do it. So who is that? There is nobody else except us. So then the nature itself is not intelligent. You ask the tree, can you make yourself? No. Nature, no. So how does that happen? And how it works? The answer is there is no mechanic in nature, like those who assembles car. Meanwhile, we cannot deny the existence of a very well assembled and sophisticated natural structure such as found in protein, which no intelligent mind can deny. It requires mechanical power to put the whole design together. This brings us to propose that the mechanism of nature works chaotically by chance, but through a natural plan. This is like a doctor who has lost his formula to make the medicine, and he works through the system of trial and error to accomplish the task guaranteed to make it because he did have the formula once. Natural possibility makes the evolution definitely possible. Abdul-Baha explains, quote, 1,000 million years hence, if these elements of man are gathered together and arranged in this special proportion, and if the elements are combined according to the same method, if they are affected by the same influence of other beings, exactly the same man will exist. For example, if after 100,000 years there is oil, fire, a wick, a lamp, and a lighter of the lamp briefly, if there are all the necessities which know exist, exactly the same lamp will be obtained. Page 179 of the Sum Answered question. Back to my words. Some creationists argue the process of the evolution seems beyond impossible through the mere chance. Mathematically, they prove that the probability of such event is zero and beyond zero. They persist on the 2,000 years old explanations of the Holy Book. My response is that when we look at the complex molecule like DNA, or the structure of a cell, their argument is valid to think this structure happens suddenly in one step. The catch here is the word sudden. This word sudden is the problem. That makes the process of evolution impossible. Whereas, if we take the word gradual instead of the word sudden as the process of evolution, then we can see the gradual evolution starts from a simpler structure that gradually gives rise to the more complex ones. For instance, in the condition of Big Bang singularity, the universe is filled with only few particles. In such condition, it is not hard to imagine the formation of a hydrogen atom with one proton and one electron. Just two particles of the combined. It's very simple. It's possible. There's no too many trial and error required to do that. And once you have hydrogen, it seems very simple to imagine the formation of helium out of 4 atoms of hydrogen. That is why. Because the helium is a natural possibility. For hydrogen, they can for helium. Helium is a design available. It's an empty hole. Matter falls into it. It is not hard. Once you have the basic chemical element, it is not hard to see evolution of water out of hydrogen. Now, it's not hard to see the hydrogen and oxygen again. They make. And oxygen and so on. Only through this process of simplicity to complexity, we can easily imagine the formation of DNA molecule. So this is very important. Sudden appearance of a man, no, that's impossible that it happened. But gradually, yes. So, the idea of spontaneity of the natural mechanism and principles of the limitation and determination are not against each other. Imagine a ball rolling down the slope which has few holes. The ball rolling down will fall in one of these holes. The actual holes are determining the destinations of the ball, and the one hole that receives the ball is the limitation of the ball to be placed only in one hole. The number of the hole is the pathway of the ball, which is spontaneous and works by chance. Another example is the person who's traveling for the first time in a road. The events that are ahead of him is all matter of chance. If another person watching this individual from the sky, let's say through an airplane or satellite, the pathway seems to be very determined from his position. Based on the natural possibility, we know the potential existence of human lies in the nature as a formula. The question often asked, how did man appear in this world? Out of clay or womb of a monkey? This brings us to the origin of a species. Origin of the new species. Previously we discussed under the phrase parallel evolution that a species evolved gradually in their own line without turning and evolving into other species. However, this might be contradictory to the origin of a species. The classical explanation of man coming out of clay, still held by many religious groups, is too ridiculous to be considered. The source of the biological changes is general. In general, is through two channels of gene mutations and hybridizations. Artificial and natural gene mutation is well established, source in the organism. Genetic engineering is capable of purifying and manipulations of genes to cause determined changes in the feature of an organism. However, so far, never it has been observed to create a new species. In heterosexual organisms such as man, a male and a female is required, which is represented by Adam and Eve in Bible, Quran, and the Muslim holy books broaden this idea, stating everything in the universe is made out of pair. Karl Marx developed the idea of the pair as theses and antitheses, which of their interaction synthesis takes place. In summary, we can say through the gene mutation caused by the environmental factors causing genetical changes in the reproductive cells of the male and female, new male and female affected genetically when mate, the offspring can become a new species. This process happening randomly, if it were to be resulted in any revolutionary changes, such as new species, had to be accompanied by two factors of the suitable natural environment and the natural possibility. Therefore, we can imagine there was a time when environment was ready for evolution of man as the first factor. Now, natural agencies causing mutations of genes and chromosomes had to come to effect as the second factor. Such changes happening universally to many organisms, of which few successful one receives it. The organism receiving the changes would have to be alphabetically and mathematically immediately before man, which would be monkey then. Let us say certain types of monkey. Third step should be a mating and hybridization between the affected female and male. This pair work like theses and antitheses, carrying the information required for the synthesis of man. Such zygote carries in the womb of monkey would have a completely different cell structure with distinct and different number of genes and chromosomes. The parents of this cell in reality are the carrier of the offspring. They are so different from the offspring that one may call them the adopted parents, just like Tarzan in jungle brought about by monkeys. He acted like monkeys, but his potentiality were always enormous and infinite. The fourth step and the main step in the evolution of man is the natural possibility of man that had to be existed prior to its evolution. Such process could have happened at the time of dinosaur, but it was not successful. The natural possibility of man and the environment to sustain the man for survival was non-existent. This is like the theory of relativity of Einstein if it were to be proposed to the Greek philosopher at the time of antiquity. Because of being untimely, it would have been rejected and forgotten. Let us refer to Abdu'l-Baha's word. Quote, as the perfection of man is entirely due to the composition of the atoms of the elements, to their measures, to the method of their combination, and to the mutual influence and actions of the different being, then since man was produced 10 or 100,000 years ago from these earthly elements with the same measures and balance and the same influence of other beings, exactly the same man existed then as now. This is evident that worth debating 1,000 million years hence if these elements of man are gathered and arranged in this special proportion, and if the elements are combined according to the same method, and if they are affected by the same influence of other beings, exactly the same man will exist. For example, if after 100,000 years there's an oil, fire, a wick, a lamp, and a lighter of the lamp, briefly, if there are all the necessaries which now exist, exactly the same lamp will be obtained. So, I'm sorry I had to read this. It seemed if I start to talk about it and to explain it, probably it will take more than this. But this is a picture that I draw from the book, from the writings, to be a theory of the evolution that exists within the Baha'i Faith. I just gathered the elements of the book to put it together. As I said, I'm a philosopher. I reconstruct the religion. This is how I reconstructed the verses of God and Abdu'l-Baha to bring up this evolution theory in the Baha'i Faith. But there can be many thousands of other ones. I'm just a philosopher and a man, and there can be many other men. There's no limit. So, I'm concluding right now this evolution theory, and next time we're going to discuss, speculate philosophically to answer some of the questions that the scientists have, and it seems by the scientific methods they cannot answer. As Stephen Hawking says, philosophers are behind. Let's see. Well, till the next time, so long. May God be with you. Thank you.